Welcome to Bachademia,
a podcast so educational it could be a university class.
With your hosts,
Danielle Dick McHugh,
Kim Hannah,
and Bill Henninger.
Welcome to Bachademia. Bill and Danielle, that's me, are on the podcast today, and we are ready to dive into all sorts of Braydon drama. Woo woo. Do you feel, I said this last week, and I stand by it. One, I cannot believe that we're already 3 weeks into this season, but I felt like this season, it just like jumped right in.
Yeah, it seemed to go much faster than in the past where they kind of like, we're having fun, no one's really into it. Now they're all like, no, I will wife you.
Yeah, it does. It feels like, and I can't complain about it because I do feel like there's both connections and drama right away.
Yes. Yeah, and I love the drama. So I could care less about the connections.
And I'm here for the connections. So
yeah, you have all the things you need in the season of The Bachelor. I was just noticing I'm in a different room than I normally am, in one of my 17 different rooms. And this lighting, I can't tell if I look really good or if I look really old, or if it's a combo. I don't know. So
I go with good, Bill. You're looking good today. Yeah. Just roll with it. I love it. He's brushing his hair.
Yeah, I'm doing a hair flip.
So, given that a large portion of this episode was a commercial for Barbie, I thought that we would start out with a question of the day. I thought that we would start out with a question of the day. That is, which Barbie are you?
Oh.
Yeah, Bill, if you were a Barbie.
So interestingly enough, I grew up with two sisters, so I have decent knowledge of Barbie. And I'm gonna say I'm like, I would like to be Malibu Barbie.
Oh, you all that are listening, Bill is wearing a very Malibu Barbie shirt right now.
I love a good
Describe your shirt for us.
Well, it's a floral print, and it's got, what would you say, pastels on it?
It's very tropical, pastel, tropical, bright.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones to wear to work because it also has a collar. And so if anyone ever says like you're not dressing appropriately, I'm going to be like, oh, I have a collar. I'll put a tie on this shit right now. Don't you stop me. I will lace the tie through the collar. I'll button it up. I'll go formal Hawaiian wear anytime you need me to. So
I think that drives a lot of your clothing decisions. Is like, can I have the most wild shirt but still have a collar and get away with it?
Yes, I like to find exactly where the line is on the rules and stay on the okay side just to annoy people. So
yeah. I like it.
So Malibu Barbie, but was there ever a science Barbie?
Ooh, there might be, probably.
Right. Someone had to be like, STEM Barbie. I would like to be STEM Barbie. That's the
You would like to be STEM Barbie?
Yeah.
So what do you think, besides your clothing choices, makes you Malibu Barbie?
In the summer, for most of my adulthood, I wore swim trunks, and like my friends made fun of me because they were like, do you just only wear swim trunks? That's like, yes, if I can get away with it. They have a lining in them, so you don't even have to find underwear. You just put on the swim trunks. Then you go swimming, fine. You get out, you got shorts on. Why think it through more than that? Like I'm not a frat boy with my cargo shorts on.
Knowing this about you, I'm so disappointed that I can't make you into a pool person as an adult.
Yeah, I don't like pools at all, but I love the pool wear. Like the beach and pool wear are my go-to. I just pools. I don't even like the beach that much. Like I just really don't like sitting. And I feel like both of those are major sitting activities, and I don't like crowds.
We need to take up diving off of the side of the pool then.
I do like jumping off the diving board.
Yeah. So I decided that I would do a quiz to see which Barbie I was, because even I didn't really play with Barbies that much growing up. I just like have memories of me sitting on the top of the bunk bed that I shared with my sister and like launching them off. And I would pretend that they were diving or in gymnastics or something like that. But like mostly I just threw my Barbies. But so I did a quiz and it told me that I'm Anneliese, who, like, is this a real Barbie? I did not recognize her. I don't remember, like, I
Is
don't
it a
remember
Barbie
this Barbie.
Frozen tie-in?
I have oh, it wasn't Frozen. She
Oh,
wasn't a Frozen character. Maybe. I don't know, but I was now I'm like, Danielle, you should know this. Your daughter watches Frozen on repeat. But it was funny because the description kind of got me. It was like, you're
yeah.
smart but pretty naive. Like you're nice, but you're naive. And I was like, okay, so you got me with the description, BuzzFeed, but I have no clue if this is actually a Barbie.
Uh, yeah, it is. She's like a princess. See, Princess Anneliese from the Barbie movies. So there's these movies, and I feel like those passed us by, right? Like,
It wasn't our generation.
yeah, no, we had the plastic ones that were like marginally anatomically correct, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think maybe she's from the Princess and the Pauper. They like ripped her off. Didn't Barbie have a friend named Skipper?
Oh yeah, I remember Skipper.
Yeah, maybe I'd be Skipper.
My
I'm a good sidekick.
You'd be a good sidekick.
Yeah,
I can see that. I think that you're a good encourager
yeah,
slash enabler.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don't try to say
So
you want to adopt a pet around me. I will drive your ass right to the Humane Society. I will pick it out. Come home with 3 dogs and you only wanted one.
see, this is why we're friends. You're an enabler and I'm naive. So you
Yeah,
can get me to do the things.
exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
So I guess I should jump into this episode. So
Yeah.
I'll offer a really quick recap and then I've got some questions for Bill. I've got the questions for
All
you.
right. I just want to know, is it really going to be quick or is it going to be academic quick? Is this an
Probably academic quick.
Yeah.
Probably academic quick.
I love
So
it.
this episode starts with a really subtle move on the parts of the producers, which is Braydon gets a one-on-one. It like is so clear to me that this is them moving this plot along. And a lot of our suspicions about Braydon are confirmed in this date, and it's kind of funny because Charity keeps talking about red flags, and then the whole darn date is a red flag. They go on a helicopter ride, they land in a baseball stadium. Braydon hits her in the face with a ball while they're playing catch, and then discloses his insecurities that then make her insecure. And then they spend dinner trying to make things better after they both felt insecure.
What were the insecurities he really described?
So here's the thing that I struggle with Braydon, and already we're off track, but we'll go for this, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the things that he says, I think are reasonable. Like outside of the Bachelorette world, I'm like, okay, he's not sure that he can do this game, right? Because it's wild what they're doing. But
Right.
like within the context of the show and his annoying personality, you're just like, I got no tolerance for this guy.
Yeah. But what did he say his insecurities were? Like, I felt like it's kind of like when somebody's like, I'm very humble, and then you talk about all the ways you're humble, and it's like, they're not really humble. He's like, I'm insecure.
Well, I think that he was, if I remember right, a lot of his insecurities are just that he is worried that she might like other guys and he doesn't know if he'll be ready for an engagement by the end of the show.
Hmm.
You know, those sorts of things.
Okay. I
Yeah.
don't think those are really, he called them insecurities, but I don't think they are. Those are like concerns. Insecurities are like, I have really funny ears and I don't want people to see them, so I wear my hair down, or like, that's what I think of. Like, I was hoping he'd be like, but you can tell he likes himself. And
Oh, absolutely.
more power to him, but go ahead. Sorry.
He reminds me a lot of a student I had in the past.
Really?
It's kind of intense, yeah. And so it's a little trippy for me. But so they have this date. It ends, I guess, well, and then after that they move to this Barbie themed group date. Like I said, it's just a commercial for the movie. I just want to give a shout out to Caleb, who came in as Cowboy Barbie, but also I realized, thanks to Kim, that Caleb has some connections to the state of Iowa.
Yes. He
That's
played baseball at Iowa Community College, right? Iowa
I think
Central.
so. Yeah.
ICCC in Fort Dodge.
Whoop whoop.
The
That's like
dirty,
right around where I grew up.
the dirty Dodge, as we called it in my hometown when we had to play him in sports.
Yeah, we called him Dirty Dodge too. So, and now my sister lives there. Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Nicole.
But yeah, so anyway, I was excited that there's somebody with a tie to Iowa. I do think the Bachelor franchise in Iowa get along well.
It's weird
So,
for like how small of a state we are. Like we've had a number of Iowans on there.
we really have. I guess like this is Iowa's claim to fame. So
You know
anyway,
what
I
it
thought that
is?
was fun.
It's our accent. They like the like it's that like accent that they want. It's like news anchors want that accent, from what I've been told. Like it's a very mild accent.
Oh.
Oh.
So I think we have a fantastic accent. I will say, so on this date, they all like dress up in their different Barbie costumes, and I have blocked some of them out. I've blocked them out. So anyway, Sean wins. I just remember the weird flesh colored one that John wore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was disturbing.
Yeah.
Like I might have nightmares about that.
Yeah.
But Sean wins, and I think that this is fitting because he kind of looks like a Ken and has like Barbie energy.
Yep.
And I mean that as an insult. Like that's like not a compliment. So anyway, everyone ends up getting really upset with Sean, and I definitely need to process this with you. I need to process this with you, Bill, because I didn't quite get it. I mean, he's annoying, but like I didn't quite understand their anger towards him. But anyway, Sean pulls Charity aside again after he gets some one-on-one time with her. He comes back and then he pulls her aside again, and like then they get really upset, and I sort of get that. Also, Charity pulls Dotun aside and they have a really lovely moment together, and I'm interested to see where their connection goes. And then she announces, like, we learn who's going to have the next one-on-one, and this might be the most confusing announcement ever. So she announces that Warwick is going to have the one-on-one, and it is so painfully awkward. He does not get a rose. She sends him home, and then we're back to the Braydon drama. He says that he doesn't know if he can see himself proposing, and he's not sure about his future wife having dated all of his buddies. And this really upsets the other guys, especially Aaron B, who then goes and tells Charity what Braydon said. And then there's all this drama, like, will Charity take the rose away from Braydon or not? Yep. And then they have a rose ceremony, and near as I can tell, it goes off as any other rose ceremony would go. And that's that.
That's a good one. That was a good recap. I feel like you would have made it short had I not intervened.
That's okay. I think that having some back and forth is healthy.
Y'all don't realize that, like, when you're the person who has to write the outline, it is stressful to keep all of the other people, especially when it was the three of us, keep the other two people in line, because then it's like a substitute teacher and everybody else is like, oh, we're just going to talk. And you're like, all right, but back to what we wrote. So
like, we have a process here. Stick to it. See, this is like Bill in his shirts. Like, he likes the edge of the line, but he wants to follow the rules.
Yeah. Well, when it's me, I'm like, come on, guys, let's go. We got to get to the next thing. But when you're doing it, I'm like, we'll talk about whatever.
You're like, I have no responsibilities here. We can go as long as we'd like.
Bill on vacation. All right.
I love it. So, okay, given that you're a relationship expert,
right,
I want to talk about like all these red flags that we see on Braydon's one-on-one. Okay, did you think, well, okay, let me start. Charity tweeted two of my favorite things, black eyes and red flags.
Okay, so I didn't, because she got hit in the face. I got it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And, well, so like one, I don't think that bodes well to Braydon making it to the end of this.
Yeah.
But okay, did you agree that those are red flags? And like, why the heck, when we are in the moment, is it so much harder for us to see red flags? Because Charity is bright. She's smart.
Yeah, and she's a mental health counselor. So you would think that you know, she would also be able to like take herself to like take that step back. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously Braydon's just a walking like no, right? And but I think all of us have dated somebody that like given time and space, we're like, oh, that was doomed from the beginning. And you know, you and your friends are like, oh yeah, we knew it was doomed. So I feel like no one's immune to this kind of like, how do we, you know, immune to this idea that you can be love blind, which is probably the term. If that's not the, I think that's the term. If it's not, it should be. And I trademark it right now. Let it be known, world. Um, but I think probably the bigger thing is that he doesn't seem to move past, right? So they've now had this conversation 3 times by the end of this episode, and it's like he keeps bringing it up. At that point, if someone came to me, I'd be like, it really sounds like maybe he's not ready for a relationship, and it's time to be like, we need to take a break. Um, but I think part of this is we've talked about this, that there is this artificial deadline, and there's not an artificial deadline in real life, right? And so if this was a normal relationship, they would probably break up, get back together. You know, she would date someone even worse than him and then go back to him and then they break up. But I think that's why she can't like see it, you know, but she does see it because she's trying to talk through it. So
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing because I feel like, again, there's something off-putting about him.
oh
And I
yeah.
think that, and I think that some of it is you feel like he's trying to push her into like pulling a Claire, you know, where Claire's just like, all right, I'm picking, who was it? Do you remember?
Oh man, no. He had tiny ears, I know that.
He had great eyes. I was thinking like tiny ears, and I'm like, beautiful eyes. But like he like I felt like Braydon is trying to push Charity into being like, no, we have such a connection. Let's just like jump ship with this whole thing. And the audacity of that is it is episode 3.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's Dale who Claire was with.
Dale. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I couldn't remember Dale.
When we were watching it, Elaine and I were watching it, I did notice he is trying, and he almost succeeded, to flip it where she needs to prove to him that he should stay, right? Like the
Mhm.
whole impotence of the show all the way up until the end is that you're there for the principal, and then at the end it kind of gets flipped. But he, in like episode 3 now, at one point he was saying, you know, well, I don't know if I could stay, and she's like, I hope you stay. And it's like, wow, the whole dynamic just shifted now. And it's like, I don't think he's genuine about it. Like, I think he's trying to see if he can get her to commit. He just seems really young too. I mean,
Yeah.
I think all of us were young and kind of playing the field at one point, and it seems like that's what he's doing, which he'll be great on Bachelor in Paradise. He is
That's
gonna
what I was just gonna say. He's gonna be a blast to watch on Bachelor in Paradise.
he's gonna clean, like women are gonna be like, he's tall and he's good looking, and the guys are just gonna hate his earrings. He is gonna be an absolute treasure.
Absolute treasure.
He also kind of brings the dislike of him on himself. It's like people can dress the way they want, but then he like kind of talks about himself, and you can tell he's like, I just, you know, I just keep it fresh. I just, whatever I'm feeling today, I want to wear this scarf, I'll wear it today. And it's like you just tell he just really likes himself. He just really thinks he's this like awesome free spirit, and it's just, I can see how that would grate, you know.
Yeah, what I did appreciate, because I can always find something that I like about people, is he was incredibly joyful when they were going on the helicopter ride and giddy. Like he had like a giddy kid energy
Mhm.
that you just felt like he was just appreciating the moment in a way that I was like, I will give him props for that.
And because I'm the yin to your yang, I can always find something I don't like about people. He's not hard. So I did appreciate that. It's like you're going on all these cool dates and everything, and like you should be enjoying it, right? So
Yeah, I
what's
thought
the
that
point of a date if not to enjoy it?
it at least made me understand maybe why she's attracted to him
Yeah.
beyond like his physical appearance. And
I
so, yeah. So maybe that's why she can't see
Yeah.
the red flags.
I do think as far as red flags, I'm not sure he isn't, and he'll probably mature, right? I don't think he's like husband material with this like giddy, joyous, like whatever attitude. And it's like, that's not the guy you want to like, let's buy a house and pay a mortgage with, right? Let's get a car. What happens when your oil light comes on? Is he going to be like, oh no, I'm free spirit?
Well, and he does describe himself as like, you know, the life of the party kind of thing. And like, that's always like not a great sign if you're looking for marriage material.
Right. Yep. Yep.
You know, life changes just a little bit. So, other people that get people riled up, another one is Sean. And this is what I needed to debrief you with.
Right.
I did not understand the level of vitriol they seem to have for him. So he comes back and he's like singing. And it
Yeah.
is like silly, but like they were like mad at him.
Yeah. I think there's like this weird unspoken rule where you can be excited, but you can't be too excited because then it seems like bragging. And also, I just think his face. I just think there's just something about him that I think, like I said, he looks like the bad guy from like a teen movie.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like I think it's a little bit of that, but I think there's like this weird like threshold for like gloating after you get a date. And I don't think anyone could tell you what it was. I don't think anyone could be like, well, it's Y amount of things plus X, and then you get your Z, and this is what creates annoying if they're above this threshold. But yeah, I think that's exactly what they were all mad about.
It makes me think that he must be annoying in other contexts that we just haven't seen too. And that's one of the things I find fascinating about the Braydon stuff is because every time that somebody's sort of tattled on Braydon, there's another group of guys that are sort of like upset
Yeah.
about the tattling in a way that I'm like, ooh, is like Braydon sometimes cooler than we see? Like, is he just getting a really bad edit too? I don't think completely. But the reason that I asked that is because, like, with Sean, this is like an immediate response that people had, and everybody kind of seemed to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And like with Braydon, when things come up, it seems like they're a divided house, you know?
Yeah. So you and Kim were talking about that, and I went back and watched the, parts of the episode from last week. And it's like, I think they were defending not Braydon, but the fact that they lost time because of the person.
Yeah.
But you're right, because then with Sean, but no one tattled. But also it's like, maybe it's because it was like Sean walked into the room, they were sitting there, and they all felt like it was directed at them. Where with Braydon, it's like he's just annoying, but he's not doing it to them. And I don't know. Yeah, it's weird because Braydon definitely, of the two, if I were like knowing what I know, he would be the one that I would have to walk out of the room. Like he would just drive me nuts. And Sean would just be like, oh, whatever. So Sean also doesn't, maybe Braydon, I don't know. Sean doesn't really seem like he's not long for the show, right?
Yeah.
Like I think like we didn't predict him. No one online has anyone predicted. I think everyone's a little surprised he's still there. Like, so it just seems odd that they got so frustrated with him because it's like, usually people don't get frustrated with competitors, right?
I agree. So, Xavier's knitting has gotten a lot of love. First, there was the still shot of him on the bus knitting that got all over like the internet, and people were like this is the man that like Charity needs to pick. And then he gives her a sweater or scarf or something that he knitted for her on this episode. And so I guess my question is knitting an aphrodisiac?
I don't think so, but I thought a lot about this because I saw this all blow up. And this is just because, like, who are the people who are like tweeting about this, right? They're probably in relationship married women. This is a call out to men that women do not want to hear about your fantasy football team. They want you to take up some type of interesting hobby And it like doesn't have to be knitting, but something that you can be like, oh, my husband, he doesn't just stare at his like phone while we're trying to eat dinner, being like, Tom Brady's going to get 12 touchdowns this season, right? I think that's what it is. It's kind of like, who was the guy that had the kid and he wore the cardigans all the time?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking
I
about?
don't know, but I'm a fan of a man at a cardigan.
Oh, and there was the meme, and it was like what men think women want, and it was like jacked, like ripped guys, like what they really want. It was like him in a cardigan, like holding a rose out, and it's like I just think like men have this weird like they look through their lens what they think women want, and it's like I don't think it's what they think. Just kind of like I don't think women really understand what men want. Like when they're like he probably thinks she's really hot, and it's like no, this guy like yeah. So
I think either way, the key is a cardigan.
yes, I think the cardigan definitely helps. But it's like I'm a fan of finding things to do that create things or that keep you busy. And I think knitting's pretty cool. Like I tried it at one point and I just didn't have the attention span to get good. Like I got too frustrated and I quit. But it's like I can appreciate anyone who can like, do it and like stick to it and become good at it. It's quality skill.
Well, what I think is nice about knitting and other types of sewing that are similar to that is that I do
Cross
think that
stitch, needlepoint, anything like that. Yeah.
yeah, any of those things. I think that you can do them while you're doing other things,
Yes.
which is pretty great. I recently had a Facebook memory come up that was like, I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm gonna try and take up sewing again. And y'all, I'm so terrible at sewing. Like I struggle sewing a button on like a jacket. And so it didn't last. It didn't last. I don't sew. But we play piano and I feel like the piano playing has like a similar thing. Like you can't play the piano and like watch TV, but there is this like repetitiveness to it and like busy hands sort of thing to it that I like.
Well, it's a skill, and I think that's one of the things I'm attracted to is people that will put in the time to learn a skill. I just think it's a cool thing. I think it's something that like demonstrates that you can like stick to something and think through it. And I just think that trait in people is really cool and it's really attractive. Not even like spouse attractive, just as like a friend or somebody who I like to hang out with, somebody who like develops a skill that's not part of their job and just this is something I want to learn how to do.
Skill building is your aphrodisiac.
Yes, yeah. It's like, ooh,
It's like the nerdiest thing.
you know how to scrapbook. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, Xavier or John?
All right, which one's Xavier and which one's John?
So Xavier's the knitter who also apparently learned how to play dodgeball at summer camp. And John is the tall Asian man who plays in his church band and kisses her every time.
Yes. Probably John because John was one of my choices, right? Yeah, John because he seems really interested in her, but in a non like you guys were talking about who's the tennis player last week. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? The longest kiss guy, right? And you were saying that it's almost like he's too obsessed with her. It's almost like this, like, and it's like John is walking this really nice line of being into her and being interested, but not like creepy. He seems to also have lots of stuff going on. I think when you're looking for a potential mate, you want someone who's into you, but really you also want somebody who's got some other stuff going around, because if you've ever been in a relationship for long term, you know that there's like you don't spend all your time together. There's times where your partner leaves for 2 days and you're like, all right, fire up them Netflix, we're getting a pizza, we're gonna watch Netflix, I'm gonna do everything I don't do when they're around the house, like yeah.
You're still an individual, it turns out.
Yeah, and I feel like he walks a really good line. He's into her, but he also has all these cool stuff he's into. He also is really good at asking questions and listening, but then also giving information back. And they seem to have a really good conversational, like they're actually interested in everybody. It's not like bar talk when you're hitting on someone. You're like, oh my God, that's so interesting. And in your mind, you're like, Just wish they'd say if they're gonna go home with me or not. So
Yeah, I would like to see the relationship develop because I do think that there's some chemistry there, but right now for some reason I think these people that are like really normal
Mhm.
about things
Yeah.
don't tend to do as well. And so I hope that he does. I hope that he does well. All
He also
right.
doesn't have like a shtick, right? So it was Michael, I think, was the guy with the cardigan, right?
Yeah,
And
Michael.
he seemed really normal, but his shtick was that he had a kid and he had a
Yeah.
wife that had died, and so he was a widower, right? It's like John just seems normal and like he's normal. Like, and I think the normal guy should win every once in a while, right? Like the guy that's like good looking, friendly, he's good at conversation, just like, they should throw him a bone. Let him, you know, keep
Come
him
on,
up.
producers.
Yeah.
Help us out here.
Yeah. All
So
right.
what's Bill's banter?
I want to know, deep dive, why was Warwick's date so awkward? Because it was awkward, right? But like, let's break it down. What really made it, as a communications specialist here, why? Why was it so odd? Like, what was he doing wrong? I want to know all the little things. Gentlemen, listen up. This is how not to do a date because she was really into him. Like, you could tell. She thought he was hot. She had nice things to say about him. She wanted this date to go well. It didn't.
It did not. You know, at least in the way that it was edited, it seems like he just didn't know how to hold a conversation.
Right.
Period. Like he didn't ask her any questions. He didn't know. He also didn't know, like she kind of got upset about him like not scooping her ice cream. And I don't think it was like necessarily about the scooping of the ice cream. It's just that, like she wanted some physical touch, I think, and she wanted him to stand close to her and them to be interacting. And instead
Right.
it was like they both were just like not even buddies, but like people that were just at the ice cream shop. And then it would be so hard because she would ask him questions. And it was also clear that he didn't have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
She asked him some question and he's like, I've never thought about that. And well, can you think about it on the spot?
Well, that's the thing, right? You can say I've never thought about it, but the next step is to say, maybe I would. What do you think about it? Huh? Or like, I think a question I might have, right? And he was doing none of that. And I also think the funny thing about that was I just took a really weird like swallow midway through, which is the sign of a really awkward person when they're like mid-sentence and they're talking. So then, the firefighter guy who I think probably reeks of toxic masculinity, right? Who is like, if you want a model, go with him. But if you want a man who knows how to wakeboard and fish and hunt, and it's like that's what every woman is sitting around like, God, I wish I had a man who could wakeboard. If that's a situation where my house is on fire and someone needs to wakeboard in to save me, Johnny firefight. Anyways, so that guy's like, it's there's a saying, the man who speaks the least is the most dangerous in the room.
Oh,
You got it so wrong. Like,
you got it so wrong.
Yeah, and it's like I guess there's this weird thing that guys think like it's really attractive to not say much and just be stoic, and it's not, right? Because you don't learn anything, and dates are for learning about people and judging if they're a good match.
Well, Warwick wasn't even stoic. He didn't have a personality
At all.
And
Yeah.
I thought that it was so funny when she's like, so I'm like a really good communicator. And he's like, yeah, that's been like a problem for me in past relationships. And like, she did try to keep offering him opportunities to like tell a story about your life. And so she's like, so tell me about some of your past relationships. And he's sort of like, yeah, I've dated someone before. You want to tell me more about that? Like, and I will give her props. When she was with him, I thought that she was very gentle and patient. And so most of the time when we heard her frustrations, it was like in these
The
things
talk
that we
head.
recorded on the side.
Yep.
And so But like, because I think I would have been like, you want to tell me more about that? Like, I think I probably would have. Yeah.
Yeah, if that was a real life date, that would have been a much shorter one. It'd have been like, oh, my friend called me and she's dying of Ebola, gotta go. Yep. So.
I think that it probably wasn't the best choice for her in terms of choosing who she was going to choose to have go on a one-on-one, because it does seem like there's other people that she has more established connections with.
Yep.
That she probably could have figured out that things were going to work with Warwick in other ways, and could have gotten more time with someone else. So, I think that that's a bummer, but
I wondered if it was a good one-on-one because it eliminated him, but he may have like went 2 or 3 more rose ceremonies because she clearly was very attracted to him and she could just keep saying, well, I didn't have time with him, So, all right. What's your next one?
Well, mostly, are there just like any other insights that you have from this episode or things that you wanted to talk about? Because we've already talked about Braydon quite a bit. And I mean, I do think that he took up a lot of the spotlight in this episode.
He did. My only other thing where we talked about him was the firefighter guy. I just thought it was an interesting statement that if you want a guy who looks pretty, go with him. But if you want a guy, and it's like, you could say a lot of things because there are things that I think like you're attracted to a person, but then as you start to date them and you fall in love with them, you don't value the attractiveness as much, but you value a lot of those things that they bring to a relationship in like the partnership, right? So it's like they are reliable. They are willing when I'm having a bad day to be the person that listens. They understand what I need when I have a bad day, or whether it be space or time. But he came up with wakeboarding, fishing, and hunting.
Was he the same guy that got irrationally upset with Sean?
Yes. Yeah.
Because like I thought that was like,
yeah.
Because I mean, they all were kind of upset, but he was like one where I was like, oh, your anger right now is a red flag to me.
Yes, and and maybe, they're painting him that way and I'm being unfair, but he just like reeked of that, like, I am a man. And so the thing is, if it were 1820, hunting and fishing, I'll give it to you, right? You need somebody in your family who can do that. It's not anymore. I have Instacart. But the wakeboarding, I was like, there is never a time where you need a wakeboarder in your life, right? There is never a time where you're like, oh my God, this plane's going to crash. We need a wakeboarder. This boat's going to sink. You can't wakeboard because the boat can't move. When do you need a wakeboarder?
I don't know, it's like one of those things. Like I thought that my marriage was pretty strong, but right now I realize we've got a weakness. Like my husband's not that good at wakeboarding.
Ryan's a giant too. I would like to see him wakeboard.
Actually, I shouldn't say. Maybe he is wonderful at wakeboarding. I don't know, because there's never been an opportunity in the last 18 years for him to demonstrate his wakeboarding skills for me.
Are you good at wakeboarding? Do you need 2 people who can wakeboard in your relationship? Is it like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
These are important questions that we need answered.
Yeah. So that's my my only other insight is that, like, I just think sometimes what people think is important to relationships, it's a good plug for communication, right? Because really you should be asking your partner what is important to them, right?
Look at you drawing that academic lesson.
Yeah. What, do you have more insights?
No, I think I'm out of insights.
Thanks, Warwick. Thanks, Warwick. No, it's good.
I mean, I don't have a ton. Like, what's interesting is I don't have a ton of predictions.
Yeah.
In terms of who I think is going to make it towards the end. There are people that I like, or I can tell, like, I do think that her and Joey have a good connection. I think her and Dalton have a good connection. John, I don't think that Braydon's going to make it that long.
Okay.
I don't know that Braydon's going to make it to hometowns.
No. I think he's got 1 or 2 weeks left max.
Yeah, he's burning out fast, I think.
He's digging his own grave. Which brings me to my city shout out.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Gravesend, New York in Brooklyn. Hello. You showed up on our listeners, so thank you. You're 52.8% white, 21.2% Asian, 16% Hispanic, 8.4% Black, and 1.5% other. Population 29,436. You are in Brooklyn, kind of down on the south side of it. What else do we have for you? I'm looking for my famous people. Oh man. Gravesend famous residents. Here we go. This is in like New York, New York. So I have a feeling it's going to be some pretty cool people. People from Gravesend. John Franco. I don't know who that is. William Whitlock. Wow, they don't really have anyone really famous. So there you go.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. I feel like being from New York, you gotta like, have a little bit more interesting people, but except for the listener who listened to us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. You rock.
You're interesting to me.
Well, I hope that these next episodes are exciting and we can't wait to talk with you all about them. Bill and I, we're struggling with the time change here. It starts a little bit later and gosh,
man.
it's like past my bedtime.
Yeah, isn't it just middle-aged people that watch it? Don't they realize that we all are like 9-15, like
Well, I keep wanting to invite you all over to watch it at our house, but my kids, I'm gonna have to like send up to bed at like 9 o'clock. So
yeah.
I can't figure out how to do it. But anyway, see y'all next week.
Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Bachademia
With your hosts, Danielle Dick McGee,
Kim Hanna,
and Bill Hennig.
All thoughts and opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the person who spoke them.
If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to the show, leaving a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Also, please share with your family, friends, colleagues, and other ardent Bachelor fans.
If you have comments or questions you would like us to address on the show, you can email us at bachademia@gmail.com.
Or on the Twitter with the handle @Bachademia.
Thanks for listening.